All right, ladies and gents, I am officially being lazy today. Instead of making a video, just decided to go live and answer any questions. So this video is prone to interruptions, such as whoever just opened the door. But in the meantime, I'm doing some pretty tedious things. So feel free to drop cues in the box if you have any, and I will happily answer them. And if there is no cues, on. Hello, Adam, and hello, Anan. You guys have any cues? Feel free to ask. That is the topic of this, or purpose of this video. Gabo184, hello. James Ustby, hello. What would you say is the best outreach method? Question from Adam. If you're talking about outreach methods for getting clients, I would probably sound like a broken record at this point, but I would say Trojan horse marketing. I mean, it's the outreach method in which you send a personalized video to the prospect. It's automated, or you can send it manually through Loom. But if you can crack the code of being a video that is created that is enough to make them interested in talking with you, it's a fantastic outreach method. So Trojan horse marketing, I would recommend you watch the video if you haven't seen it already. There's a couple YouTube videos I've made on it. But there was one that was really in depth. Maybe because I'm selling my soul for that one client. A non-media. Right now I have one client in the debuttal, I think Deddle niche. I don't even know what that word is. DEBTAL. Interesting. And for some reason, I feel like I'm afraid of jumping and scaling that. Afraid. Dental niche. Okay. Anon, give me some more details on why you feel like you're afraid. If you're selling your soul for that one client, I mean, and if that's what's scaring you, you should be able to build systems and figure out how to make it work. But don't be afraid. I mean, every client is different in terms of its maintenance levels. So you shouldn't be afraid. But maybe if you give me some more specific methods or reasons, I can give you a better answer. Because I do a lot of work for one person. Well, like I said, that's going to change depending on the client. And you can have systems in place where you can hire like a virtual assistant to handle a lot of the work, or an account manager or account executive. And hopefully this client's paying you decently. How much is this client paying you? Gabo, quick cue. Where do you find the guy that made the website for Better AMS, or a freelancer of similar quality? Gabo, it was an introduction to me by a friend. I don't know if I'm allowed to say who it is. I'm assuming that it would be okay, but if you were looking for someone, you really should just look at Upwork, post on Upwork, and look through their portfolios. It's really as simple as that. Is you can go through their portfolios and look at the quality of the websites that they've made. That website costed like $2,000, $1,500 to make. Very, very cheap. James, I'm a marketing agency for roofing companies, mainly doing Facebook ads to provide leads combined with a CRM for built-in lead nurturing for the roofing company. That's legendary, brother. That's really cool. I love the lead generation agency, like with Facebook ads. If I could just enter like a temporal bubble where time doesn't exist and time is kind of frozen, I would love to start that kind of agency. This is really, really cool. A pay-per-lead agency would be like what I would love to do in my free time, if I had free time to start another agency, which I don't. James, how do I overcome the too expensive problem? James, what do you mean by too expensive? Are you talking about like the client says to you your services are too expensive, like the objection? Or give me some more details. You can see that is wisdom in the background. She likes to climb in and out of that drawer. Anon Media, sorry, Arthur, nice kitty. Anon, because I do a lot of work for one person. Ryan Ramshaw, do you think it's able to maintain 60, 70% profit if you're pulling 100K a month? Ryan, we just did $110,000 revenue this month. Our profit's probably going to be around 27% profit margins. But we just, I don't know what happened there. Sorry, the cat freaked out. We spent a decent amount of money on a trip. It was like 15 grand or something like that for all of our team to go out. If I paid myself less and my partner paid herself a little bit less and we didn't book that year-end retreat, probably would have been around 40%, 45, maybe 50. I'd have to run the numbers, percent margins. I don't think 60 to 70% is sustainable if you're planning on growing. But if you just want to run at $100,000 per month with a very lean team, yes, it's absolutely possible. We have some clients that are at around $10,000 per month in terms of the retainer, and we have other clients 6, 7, 8,000. All you really need is about 15 clients like that, and you can have 2 account managers, split the clients in half, maybe 3, and yeah, absolutely, you can maintain 60, 70% margins, but it's not going to be good for scale. Like if you want to scale, again, I don't think you should have margins that are that high. You should be investing a decent amount back into either trying to grow more talent, etc. So 35% margins, I like that. That's really good. I wouldn't want to go below 25%. I would like to always keep it at 25%. And the reason for that is because if you have 25% margins, you're stacking about 4 months of runway every year. Runway is just the amount of cash so if all revenue goes to zero, how long can you pay out your current monthly expenses, assuming it stayed the same, before you run out of cash? So I like 25% as the minimum. 60 to 70, I mean, that'd be really cool if we had a really great month, but I think it's too high unless you don't want to scale and you just want to stack cash and not really grow rapidly. Ryan, just started watching your videos recently and I'm enjoying your long form content. Thank you. Much appreciated. Anan Media. By the way, I really admire your knowledge and like to be mentored by you by a course or something. Well, I'm building Agency Enlightened right now. That little thing right there at the top, a few printouts from Agency Enlightened. It's about 20-25% done. Agency Enlightened will be launched probably end of January to the people that are currently in the what was called Lead Gen Enlightened. That was kind of the 1.0 version of the course. And now we're expanding it and making it much better and rebuilding it. But to the public, it'll probably be released late January, potentially as late as February. So yeah, it'll be there. On average, what's your CPA? Santiago, we don't spend any money on ads. We've spent a little bit of money on ads, like $500, maybe $1,000 total over the years. So we don't have a cost per acquisition per se, and we don't track what it is organically because our organic client attraction methods are relatively next to nothing. The cost of running an outreach method like Trojan Horse Marketing is a virtual assistant in the Philippines, $400, $500 per month. And then you have a bunch of softwares, which is very minimal. So the CPA is extremely low because it's organic. Adam, Ram Lakan, can you go through your daily routine? Daily routine is pretty simple. Wake up ideally between 7:30 to 8 a.m. Immediately after waking up, drink a glass of water and then meditate for 30 to 45 minutes. After meditating, eat breakfast. Usually breakfast is just like a protein shake, an organic plant-based protein meal replacement shake. And then read my self-realization personal mindset one pager. It's this laminated thing, and it takes about 30 seconds, and then get to work, ideally before 9 a.m. So 7:30 to 8 a.m. wake up, 9 to 9:30 a.m. start time in terms of work, and then stop work at 9 p.m. And usually work out around 4 p.m. 3 to 4 days a week, work out, and then hang out with Nicole from 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. and get to sleep before 11:30 p.m. That's the routine. 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday, and then I take Sundays off. James, I work with roofing companies on retainer, mainly $2K per month plus $1K ad spend. $3K per month is a hard pill to swallow for many roofing companies. They want to just pay per lead, but I don't know how to provide PPL. James, an absolutely legendary person who can help you understanding PPL and just take your business to a whole new level. If you're in the PPL world, man, I'm blanking on his name. What is this guy's name? I spoke with him the other day. He was in a mastermind that I was in, not the other day, but like months ago. Anyways, he has a good PPL agency. They do about $350,000 per month. They have about 9 clients, and he's figured out the PPL model. Dan is his first name. I think Wardrobe is his last name. He has some good free content on running a PPL agency. So I would check that out. But in general, I mean, if you can build them on a PPL model, it's much easier to sell. So that's great. You just need to kind of figure out what's your average CPL, cost per lead, and charge double that, right? So if your average CPL in the roofing niche is $10, tell them you're going to charge them $20 per lead. You just need to qualify them to make sure their sales team and their sales process is good enough to close people. Like if they don't have much of a sales process, if it's just some dude with a cell phone that's not really ever, he doesn't have a script, he doesn't have a CRM, like you kind of want to stay away from that. Unless you can figure out how to make it work, and or unless they don't need the CRM or a script or any of that stuff. Again, your wheelhouse, you'll know better than me, but figure out your average CPL, charge about double, and simple as that. Tell them that, hey, it's $1,000. We're going to spend this $1,000. You're going to pay us about $20 per lead or $30 per lead. And then, yeah, simple as that. Yes, it's more risky for you, but not really if you've done the math and you know what the average CPL is. By the way, I'm not a CPL or a PPL expert. The guy I mentioned earlier, he's great. Anand Media, by the way, you always talk about getting super narrow on your niche. Do you think that I should be super narrow inside the dental niche? For example, help dentists get more Invisalign customers. That's it. And then I've thought about this before. There's actually someone in agency Enlightened right now who is in the dental niche and asked a similar question. You can go that specific, and it's okay to go that specific if you're just starting out and you have like no clients and you want to have a very focused, specific cold outreach method that touches on a very specific interest or desire of the niche. If they really love Invisalign customers, then great, you can utilize that. But I would utilize it more so in your marketing on the front end of your website. I would just say that you help dentists get more customers. You help dentists with social media marketing or Facebook ads or whatever. You help dentists grow their company. Simple as that. But when it comes to, you don't want to just you don't want to put yourself in a hole on the front end and say it's only for Invisalign customers, because you can do much more than that. But in your outreach method, I highly recommend, testing that out, because if they love that, then great, go for it. But no, don't narrow yourself in that deep on the front end, just in your marketing. Josip5, what do you use to schedule your daily tasks, weeks, months, and years? Do you use Trello boards or maybe the Sam Ovens Warm app? Well, we use OKRs in Asana to plan out each quarter and each year and each 3 years. And I think we have like this bag, the big, hairy, audacious goal. We have the 5-year goal and then the 10-year goal, I think it is. The 5 and 10 years is like very far out. It's not really taken extremely seriously, but the 1 and the 3 are taken very seriously. And that's usually, I'll use Asana for things, but honestly, I just use this notepad to plan the days. I used to use the Sam Ovens Warm app when I was in his mastermind, and that was fine. I think the Warm app is absolutely amazing, and it can also be a great utilization, but great tool to be utilized. But I find using the notebook and Asana and just OKRs and a whiteboard is good enough. Adam, what is your hiring process for finding media buyers? Yeah, I don't even really call them media buyers. Technically, that's what they are, because they're managing Amazon advertising for clients. Some of them are managing up to $100,000, $200,000 per month of ad spend, and they're buying this ad spend. They're media buyers per se. But the hiring process right now is very simple. We'll post on LinkedIn. We'll maybe run some LinkedIn ads for hiring. LinkedIn Recruiting, I believe it is their ad platform for trying to find people. We just hired a recruiter about a month and a half ago from Upwork, and that's proven to be good, not amazing, but good. And some good applicants have come through that recruiter. There's one that we are debating on potentially hiring. You could probably say great, because we're likely to end up hiring someone from this, but hiring process is really, we used to just post in Facebook groups, post on LinkedIn. We have a decent following. So we tried to leverage that following as much as we could, but we kind of hit a bottleneck now. We're about 12, 13 people. We have about 5 media buyers, 2, maybe 5, maybe 6. And if you don't include me, I think it's like 5. But it was very simple. Now it's much more, it's getting to be much more sophisticated. Actually, what I'm doing this week is I'm building the recruiting system and the hiring process, so we can standardize the interview process. We can standardize the challenges that we give the applicants. I mean, hiring becomes the biggest bottleneck once you're above like $50,000 to $75,000 per month. It's a serious bottleneck, and it'll always be your bottleneck for the rest of your life if you want to scale very far. Talent's the number one most important thing you can have in an agency. It is literally what's going to dictate your growth from like $100,000 to $500,000 to $1 million to $10 million to $1 trillion. Wherever you want to go, it's all going to come down to talent. And agencies are very people-oriented businesses, so that's just, in general, it's just a really important thing for people to kind of understand. And I don't think enough agency owners really realize that people are so like freaking important. In the beginning, I really hated people. I didn't want to have to hire people. I thought that no one would want to work with me or for me. And I just really avoided that, because I thought to myself, if someone would work with me, why would they not just start their own agency? Again, I was pretty immature and lacked the ability to understand that belief was extremely negative and false. And I held that belief 19 years old, 20 years old, and started to release it around 21, 22, but mostly 22 years old. And very fortunate to have been able to release that belief and realize the power of people. Because the second media buyer we hired, her name's Destiny with Sean. She is now a partner in the agency. But when I hired her, she was hired on like a basic salary of 2,000. Actually, she was hired with like $20 an hour, starting out, tested it out, see how it goes. Then it went to $2,000 part-time, and then $4,000 a month full-time. And then she ended up pretty much running the entire agency. I almost gave up on the agency and said, well, pretty much did give up on the agency and said, look, I'm done with this thing for a while, maybe forever. Here's the keys to the agency. This thing is yours. And she ended up, I told her, if you sign clients, I'll give you like 25% of the retainers that you sign. But the existing clients right now, I'm not going to give you a percentage of the retainers on those clients. She ended up scaling the agency, like doubling the monthly revenue. And then she couldn't go any further because she didn't have any time. And so I was like, holy shit, that's amazing. I didn't even think anyone could do that but me. You can see how egotistical and narcissistic I was at that time. It was terrible. I can't believe like how, I guess, immature and lack of foresight I had at that time. But yeah, that was it. I was like, wow, this is amazing. People are amazing, and they're so much better than me in so many different ways. And that was it. So that was a long rabbit hole there, but people is the answer to scaling your agency. There's this good quote, and it's like, if you're stuck at a certain level, it's likely a people problem. That's not always the case, but it's very likely to be the case that you have a people problem. It could also be a mindset problem or a belief problem. For me, it was a belief problem that I didn't even think people, like that quote of, if you're stuck at a certain level, like you have a people problem, you're missing somebody, I would have never even believed that because I didn't believe in people. So anyways, James Oostby, Dan Wardrobe, I'll check it out. Should I start running my own ads to get roofing leads for myself to get an idea of CPL? This helps a lot. Yeah, check him out, James. And I mean, should I start running my own ads to get roofing leads for myself? James, do you have a roofing company? I mean, I thought you had clients already. So if you have clients already, you can just look at the data for them and see what the CPL is. If you don't have clients already, keep trying to sell the retainer model and start with the retainer model, because you need to get some clients first and get a feel for what the average CPL is in the industry, right? So I wouldn't move to CPL unless you have the guidance of a mentor with a ton of experience. But if you don't have the guidance of a mentor with a ton of PPL experience or CPL experience in your specific niche, I would just stick with that retainer model until you have some data, and then you can move to a PPL model. And you can even tell the people you're selling that to, hey, look, we'll start out with this retainer for a couple months, and then we can move to a PPL model. But we need to test the market. We need to test the waters first. And then we can move to a cost per lead, pay per lead model. Gabo, I'm confused about niching down to the ideal client. My niche is such a blue ocean, like digital marketing 2005. I can work with almost any company and charge a lot. Should I niche down further? I mean, what's your niche? There's like 18 people on this live stream. No one's gonna steal your niche. Ideas are pretty much worthless. So let me know your niche, and then I can actually help you out. And also, it's kind of vague. I need more details. Should I niche down? You haven't really given me enough details to understand if I can help you, to let you know if you should niche down further. Again, tell me your niche, and then I can help you. And non-media, I have one good client. I have one client with good results in implants and Invisalign, which is the most profitable for them. Cool. I'm glad you appreciated the answer. Anan Media, I charge dentists 1,500 euros per month for Google PPC and Facebook ads. Do you think that's too low? Because they find it super expensive in Germany, but I had 2 yeses for now. Is that good enough? Absolutely, that's good enough. Absolutely. If you have 2 clients paying you that much, great. And look, like you can probably justify 3K, 4K, 5K. Generally speaking, when you're starting out, you just have no idea. It's a lot of unknown unknowns. And so you're kind of like going into the market with no idea of what it's going to be like. Even though I guarantee you there's digital marketing agencies charging German companies, dentists, maybe 4 or 5 grand a month. I highly, I think that's highly possible. It's almost definite. So absolutely stick with that pricing. And as you get more confident, charge more. $2,000 per month is just kind of like the standard recurring retainer that I think anyone should charge. Again, it's relative to what kind of agency you have. But if you're in digital marketing, like $2,000 per month, you should always shoot for that. Our minimum in our agency was once around 1,500. Now it's about 2.5K. So it's great. 2,000 a month is great though, because you can have an account executive and you can hire an account executive or account manager, a media buyer, if you want to call them that. I like to just call them account managers or account executives. Account managers are just more junior. Account executives are just more senior. And you can hire that person and they can manage at least 8 to 10 clients successfully. And that's assuming you have good systems. And that's about $16,000 to $20,000 per month. So if you're paying them $3 or $4 or even $5,000 per month salary, maybe even 6 or 7, you still have like 70 to 60+% margin on that, on what that person is managing, right? So $2,000 per month is great. 1,500, it's okay. I wouldn't go any lower than that. How do you stop having shiny object syndrome and comparing yourself to others? I feel like that's my biggest obstacle in any business I start. That's a great question. Man, that is a great question. I'm building the agency mindset right now in Agency Enlightened, and I just finished the personal mindset module. Part of it talks about that, adopting the you versus you mindset and stop comparing yourself to others. One of I'll tell you what did it for me, Braden. I was reading 12 Laws of Life by 12 Rules of Life or 12 Laws of Life by this professor based out of Toronto. He's pretty famous. I forget his name. But he said in this book, look, you can't compare yourself to anyone else because by the time you're like 9 years old, you're so idiosyncratic to every other human being on planet Earth that like it just doesn't make sense. So when you think about the experiences that you've gone through and the things that you've witnessed, the things that you've seen, experienced, Jordan Peterson. Yeah, you guys got it. Thank you for your help. Jordan Peterson wrote this book, 12 Laws of Life or 12 Rules of Life, I think. In one of the rules, he talks about not comparing yourself to other people because you're so idiosyncratic. You can't do that. Like it does not make sense logically. So that was like what flicked the switch for me. I was like, oh, that's so simple. You just can't do it. It doesn't make sense logically. Again, that's what did it for me. Now, shiny object syndrome. And the other thing, sorry, Brad, is that what you want is going to be so different from what other people want, and your skills are going to be so different from what other people have. And spiritually speaking, if you are spiritual, you don't have to be spiritual at all, but if you are, you can add in the variable of karma and karmic propensities, which is discussed in books like Power versus Force and Letting Go, The Eye of the Eye. Those are 3 books that talk about karma. You don't have to be spiritual. I'm just saying if you are, that's another variable to consider. How you can stop having shiny object syndrome is generally just pick something you really like. If you get into something you like, you're not going to really feel like you want to do other things. When I had shiny object syndrome, it was because I was obsessing over materialistic desires, like buying a Ferrari or like trying to move into a mansion or making a ton of money just so that I look cool among my friends, like status. And so if that's what you're optimizing for, if you're optimizing for status and materialistic desires, you don't really care about what it takes to get there. So you're open to anything. You're like, okay, I'll do this, I'll do that, I'll do this, I'll do this. And because of that, you do nothing because your energy goes all over the place. And in reality, you just need to focus on one thing so you can have all your energy laser focused. And that's actually the fastest way to get to these things that you might desire. So that's a good way to release the other thing. And the other thing, man, is just get rid of social media. Holy shit. I can't stand, like, I used to follow people on Instagram. I used to follow like luxury lifestyle accounts. That is one way to just make you feel like shit. And I'm just going to say it's as simple as that. Look, I think that there's a certain aspect or element of it that is motivational, but in general, like, just get rid of it. It's not going to help you. I mean, there's always going to be someone that has exponentially more than you financially, materialistically, and that stuff does not actually bring happiness. So what happens is you see that kind of stuff and you think, oh yeah, like I'm going to be happy when I get there, when I have a private jet. And yeah, it's kind of ridiculous. You're going to be happy when you just like your work and when you have like a basic house and great relationships. So that's what I can say to that. Gabo, let's see what else we got. I'll try to go through these questions faster. Santiago Cruz, how would you start building a solid culture in a small 5-people team managing 4 to 5 clients? Yeah, I mean, you got to ask yourself, what's your vision? What's your mission? What's your core values? What's something that you really care about? What do you want to build? Ours is to try to build the most people-centric company on earth. And the vision is the idealistic view. So this is the vision, the mission, and the core values. The vision is kind of just like, again, the idealistic view of the world and something that's somewhat tied to your agency. So we want to build the most people-centric company on earth. The mission is kind of how you're going to achieve the vision. So we strive to provide our people and clients the best experience, greatest results, and utmost efficiency. Those are the 3 battles that we're trying to win: experience, efficiency, and results. We know that if we can become the best at those 3 things, we will achieve the vision. And then core values are just like guiding principles that will guide you and everyone in your company. So you as the founder, you really need to sit down and kind of, map that out. What seems really cool to you? Some people may not like it. Some people will be like, hey, I'm not really motivated by this, and that's fine. They might leave. You can do this process with your team, but I would only recommend doing it with people that you would consider partners or potential leadership people. And that's how we did it with Better AMS. It was myself, Destiny, Alex. At that time, we were actually pretty much a 5-person company. So similar to you. How are your sales calls roughly structured? Okie dokie, 1, 2, 3. There's a good video I released. It's called The Best Agency Sales Method. It's a 2-step process. We do a discovery call, 15 minutes, 20 minutes at most, to just ask them some qualifying questions, get access to their account. And then we do a sales call 24 to 48 hours later, where we've audited their accounts and we tell them roughly how much we think we can increase their sales. Go back and watch that video though. Ken Lee, how old are you? Right now I'm 23 years old. I feel like I'm 40 or 50. Webified, hey Taylor, been watching for a while now. Glad to finally catch a live stream. Cool. Brayden, does that mean you no longer are running an agency or active? No, I'm 100% active in Better AMS. I work 80 to 90% of my time in Better AMS. Right now, it's more like 70% because 30% of my time is going towards building agency Enlightened. There was a period though for like 6 to 9 months where I didn't work on the agency at all. It was more like, it was 9 months. And that's actually when it scaled and the MRR pretty much doubled without me. And that's when I was like, oh, wow, people are powerful. And that's kind of was the paradigm shifting moment for me. I'm very, very blessed that happened. Nautilus, what would you say are solid baseline metrics for client acquisition, from cold email to booked appointment, show rate to close rate? Basically, that what I'm asking is, how do you set those initial targets? I mean, targets are difficult because it's different in every niche. But here's what I can tell you based on our data. What you want to measure is one, if you're running an outreach system, you want to measure how many ideal prospects you can find per day. So ideally, a virtual assistant is doing that. How many ideal prospects are contacted per day? So found and contacted, and then how many actually book calls? So how many discovery calls do you get? What's the call booking rate? And then you want to basically just measure close rate. Simple as that. How many actual clients do you close? And you can then run numbers like how many, once you've sent out 500, I would recommend sending at least like 500, contacting 500 prospects. Then you can start to look at the numbers and set benchmarks. But for us, I mean, if you have above, you should have like a 3 to 5% call booking rate. If you're running Trojan horse marketing, 1% is pretty low, but it depends on your niche. It depends on the quality of your video. It depends on a lot of things. But I've seen people in Agency Enlightened with like 13% call booking rates. It's just insane. That's really high. That's abnormally high. But typically 3 to 5% is good for call booking rates, at least. Gabo says AI cognitive bots for office process automation. Assuming this is Gabriel, the Gabriel that I know in Panama City. Yeah, I think that's fine. I don't think it's too niche specifically. Again, you can put your website on if that's what you want to do, if you're in the niche of helping businesses utilize AI cognitive bots for office process automation, essentially you're an efficiency master and you're helping people streamline repetitive tasks that are highly monotonous. That's great. What you can do is you can just put that on the front end of your website, and then you can, in your Trojan horse marketing, you can make it more specific. So you can contact 250 accounting firms. You can test that out, see how that does. And then you can test out a different vertical and a different vertical. So I recommend doing that. Keep the niche what it is, but niche down in your marketing, because you don't want to just be like, I help businesses, and you're approaching like a dentist. You want to say, hey, I can really help you guys dentistries with blah, blah, blah. Make it more specific to them. Nautilus says, I have a real estate marketing agency. Congrats. That is absolutely legendary. Sais Ahmad, I apologize if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. Best way of getting clients as when starting out. Trojan horse marketing. I recommend it. Go for it. Otherwise, if you have a good network and you can get on a podcast with a lot of potential prospects, I mean, that's way easier. But if you're just starting out, you typically don't have a network. So Trojan horse marketing is the best. Hyper Gamer, how we doing, brother? I know that you've been watching the channel for quite some time. Good to see you. Where do you think the perceived value of email marketing is at the current state of the market, in your opinion? Are you just talking about email marketing in general? I think it's amazing. It absolutely crushes, and it should be utilized. I don't think enough people actually utilize it. So absolutely. I think current value, current state of the market, it still crushes. Gabo, I only have 3 competitors in my local market. Great. Blue Ocean. Hyper Gamer, also, what's that bridge on your wall in the back? That's a paper from Agency Enlightened. See if you guys can see it. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it. It says basically agency norm versus Agency Enlightened. And the agency norm this is kind of like the first module in Agency Enlightened, where it's talking about like, hey, welcome to the program. This is what it's all about. It's about taking you from the agency norm to Agency Enlightened. And the agency norm is pretty much like toxic culture, poor margins, slow growth, and it will die without the founder. That's like a normal agency. And that goes for like pretty much most agencies you'll hear about or see. Maybe I have a bad data set, but I've spoken with hundreds of agency owners in this past 4 years, and generally speaking, 70-80% will die without the founder. They have extremely slow growth. They don't have great margins, and the founders don't really enjoy what they're doing, and the cultures are toxic. Most of the people that we've actually hired have come from other agencies, and they said that the toxic culture was like, it was just terrible. It was awful. And there was so much bureaucracy. So yeah. Hyper gamer or no, okie dokie. Do you think that business owners in US are biased towards working with agencies from other countries? I mean, yeah, I think that there's probably a slight bias where humans are going to want to work with humans that are similar to them. I mean, I think that's definitely a slight bias. Is it a huge bias? I don't think so. So I wouldn't worry too much about it. But yeah, if you have like an accent and there's like a language barrier to a certain degree, yes, it will, I would say, definitely be a very minor psychological difference. But I'm very open-minded and that doesn't really affect me. I'm happy. We just hired a development agency based out of Pakistan. I'm pumped. I think that they're amazing. So it depends on the person, how close-minded they are, and their biases and their distortions. So, but I'd say in general, most people probably have some distortions in that regard. Let's see what else we got. Jordan Peterson, yes, I honestly have the same people problem. And non-media, I have the same people problem as you because I did so much research on digital marketing. I feel like no one is going to handle my clients as good as I do. Yep, that's the common barrier that you need to overcome. Hire someone with experience, just as experienced as you or more. And yeah, they're going to do a better job than you. So simple as that. And just let them take your clients. You can give them one client to start, make it an easy transition, see how they do. And you can slowly pass the baton where they come on client calls with you. And it's a 1 to 2 month process of you hot potatoing the client from you managing it to them. That's what I did when I started out. When I first had to like delegate clients, like when I first had to like give clients accounts to other people, I was fucking scared shitless. Like I was really scared and nervous as hell. So it was a slow transition where I was like, hey, I'm going to come on the client calls and you just monitor them. You watch over their shoulder. You kind of micromanage them for the first 1 to 2 months. Make sure they're good to go. And that's it. And then that's it. Once they've earned trust, you don't have to worry about it. And they're likely going to do a better job than you. Braden, do that to me. I always compare myself to people on IG living the lifestyle I want. I answered that question already. Laris or Iaris? Andrew, I just bought the Consulting Accelerator course because of you. Am I allowed to start my own digital marketing agency towards that niche? Towards a niche that the digital marketing company that I work for doesn't cover? I mean, why not? Go for it. If you're working in it, I think that sounds really ethical. Yeah, congrats on purchasing that program as well. That's the course that helped me become, start Better AMS. There's just no way I would have been able to start this agency without that program. I was like 18, 19 years old, no experience in business, no experience and no understanding of mindset. It's a fantastic program. For $1,500 with the discount referral code, which is in like a lot of the links to the videos I've made. I mean, dude, it's just like, I don't even know how much. I think high school costed more than that. I didn't pay for high school, but like my parents could have bought that thing in instead of grade 10, 11, 12. Yeah, I wish. Taylor, thank you for your insight. You're welcome. What's this live about? I found this live stream random. Will. It's about growing your agency. Taylor, how do your employees interact with each other? Do you have team building exercises? We have game day once a week. That's a really good exercise. I would recommend every agency incorporates game day into their companies. Once you have enough people, you kind of need at least like 4 people to actually play like a game. 3, it's kind of weird. I don't know. That's personally just how I feel. So great. 4 people game day. Other than that, we try to do a year-end retreat every year. I would love to do it twice a year. And then leadership has quarterly offsites where we'll just get away for like a couple of days, a few days, and just talk. But I wouldn't call them team building exercises per se. They're not really classified like that, even though you could definitely classify it as a team building exercise. We can do a lot more on that front, and we should probably do more, but right now that's all we do. Awesome. That exercise from Sam is a life changer. Nautilus, Braden, for marketing agency owners, but Taylor is a good person to ask most questions. I appreciate that. Sad Kahel, what do you think of my niche? Companies producing digital products like photographers teach or help clients on how they could use cloud storage to organize, automate, and streamline their workflow. Companies producing digital products like photographers teach them how they could use cloud storage. I don't know. I'm a little bit confused. In general, if you can help people automate and streamline their workflow, it's very valuable. But companies producing digital products is pretty broad. And you would just need to make sure that your marketing laser focuses on a specific niche. Again, I don't know. I need to know more about what it is that you could help automate, because we use shared drive and other things. So maybe if you have more details, I can help. But in general, if you're helping people automate and streamline things, that's very valuable. And you just need to find a niche type of company that can really benefit from that. Ideally, something that's more old school, that probably doesn't understand how to utilize that. Again, there's companies with digital products that are more old school, but I could be wrong in saying that. Again, I'm not an expert in that area, so your judgment's better than mine. Great stuff. Thanks for asking my question. Yes, it's me. Hi, Gabriel. Glad you're on. Instant champion. Can I use Trojan horse marketing for e-commerce and info product niche? Go for it. Absolutely. Gabo, thanks a lot. That's creative. I hadn't realized I could use THM like that. Create industry-based THM. I can surf on the 90% probability that the lead hasn't automated anything because you can't tell. Cool. Gregory, what's the best way to get involved full-time as a partner with a small existing agency? It's owned by a close friend, and I've already contributed a bit to building it over the years. Yeah, just get closer. If you've contributed a bit, ask if you can join part-time or full-time and prove your value even more. But you kind of got to look at the founder, who's your friend, I guess, close friend, and just make sure that they're open to it. You can go to them and be very upfront and say, hey, look, I love what you're doing. I think it's great. I would love to have a piece of ownership in this, but of course I know that to do that, I would need to prove my value. I would love to prove my value. I'd love to spend more time in this agency. In your opinion, are you open-minded to that? What does that look like for you? I just really like what you're doing. I would really appreciate if someone came to me with that approach. So go for it. Have that conversation with him and see if he's open-minded to it. If he's not open-minded to it, I mean, it's up to you if you want to continue to help him, but he should be open-minded to it. Judia, we have an AMS PPC agency. How do you get prospects from your agency? Children's horse marketing, content marketing. Right now, it's primarily inbound marketing, content on LinkedIn, speaking on podcasts, mostly that kind of stuff, to be honest with you, posting a lot. So Gregory brings in around 6K a month in revenue. My contribution has been acquiring the first few clients, doing some fulfillment and managing our part-time VA. Early next year, we're talking about me full-time. Damn, it sounds like you've done a lot, like most of the work. I could be wrong in saying that, but yeah, I mean, if your contribution seems pretty significant, and it seems like you could just have that conversation with him, and he should be open to giving you equity and you being full time. Hyper Gamer, did you run an Amazon store yourself? No, I never did. My dad bought a very small Amazon store, and that's who I first ran ads for. Gregory, not sure how to figure out compensation. A balance of equity and maybe a percentage of each client's monthly retainer would be the accounts manager / salesperson. Yeah, equity is great. Ideally, both the founders pay themselves a salary, a flat salary. I wouldn't do a percentage of revenue based on retainers. If you're the salesperson, you should definitely be getting a percentage of. You should definitely be getting a commission on clients closed. Absolutely. So I would make sure that you have that. But in general, if you want equity and you're going to be a partner, man, both you and the other person should be on salaries, and ideally as low as possible, as low as you guys can possibly do it, because the agency is so small at that point, 6K a month. Juvin holder or Huvin holder or Uvan holder. What process do you use to determine what to work on personally as the founder? Rice score. I just use intuition on where the biggest bottleneck is. I'll talk to our team members and they'll be like, hey, this is extremely painful. This is a problem. We need to do this better. And that's when I'll know. When you get to a certain point and you have enough people, generally the pain is very obvious and you can see the pain. So yeah, I just listen for the pain and then do my best to fix it. I'm going to wrap this up in 8 minutes, but I'm going to try to get through these questions. There's only about 6 left. A non-media, do you think that it is okay to be confused as fuck for the first 3 to 4 months after getting some good results? Because it's really a big transition for me from a college mindset to a real paying business. Yeah, it's all right. Look, in the beginning, I was very egotistical and self-seeking and narcissistic. I was 19, 20 years old, very immature and very confused on kind of what I wanted in or from life. So that's all right. Just can constantly focus on making yourself better, improving yourself, and simple as that. You'll get it as time progresses if you continue to work on yourself. Eugenio Silva, don't know if you remember our call, but I've managed to land 2 new clients. I do remember our call. And since then, I'm on top of my goal of 10K by March. Cheers. That's legendary. I'm really happy for you. Congrats. And I hope that call was helpful in you closing those clients and being able to ideally get to 10K. That's amazing. Josip5, I've been reaching out since May of 2020. I transitioned to real estate e-commerce in October and had a few meetings since May, but no clients. I wonder how to keep positive mindset going forward. Yeah, I mean, just keep going. What do you have? I mean, if in my opinion, like, if you want to be an entrepreneur and you want to start your own agency, you're going to be willing to do whatever it takes and be as relentless as possible to get it going. So keeping a positive mindset is really not even a question. It's more just like, what do I have to do to keep making this work? What do I have to change? So don't look at the result or the outcome of not getting clients or not being able to get revenue going as negative. Just see it as feedback and use that feedback to continue to try to get yourself on the right path. Simple as that. But never give up. Simple. Just never give up. Simple as that. Jotham, can you recommend an online course that teaches Facebook advertising for e-commerce? My niche is bringing automated reality marketing to online furniture stores. I don't know any personally. Sorry, brother. Can't recommend anything to you. Eugenio, I recommend Khaled Facebook ads course. I bought it and don't regret it at all. Okay, so there you go. Jotham, if I'm pronouncing your name correctly, looks like Eugenio has helped you out. Eric Morris, do you charge a basic fee plus commission, or what do you recommend? Yes, we charge a hybrid ad rev plus commission, or ad rev plus retainer. So we have, wow, that reflection in the glasses is terrible. We have 3% ad rev on better AMS campaigns that are launched. Gregory, all right, thanks for your thoughts. I'll speak with them about it. Commission is important for sales efforts, and people with equity should be on salary as low as possible. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, look, just at that stage that you're at, the salary should be low given the stage, right? Because you want to reinvest as much as possible. Yeah. Jared, when/how did you get the past startup pains of people saying no? Also, what's the dims of your daily driver surfboard? What's the dims of your daily driver? Not sure I understand that, but getting past the startup pains of people saying no. Look, man, I just knew I was always I just had this knowingness that, like, no matter what, I'm never going to give up. So I didn't care. I just wanted to be, when I was 18, 19, starting the agency, again, it was very egotistical, but I just wanted to make a lot of money and, like, be independent no matter what. That was my motivation at that time. So with people saying no didn't really matter. I can't really say too much else, to be honest with you. Sorry. What is the size of your surfboard? That's 7 foot, I think. And then there's another one over there that's 7.5, maybe ish. Maybe that blue one's like 6'11", 6'10", I'm not sure. Thanks, bro. Looking forward to your upcoming course. Hope that we can talk personally there. Yeah, absolutely. Braden, how has your mindset shifted from egotistical to you versus you now? How? I mean, yeah, it just went from egotistical to pretty much just, I love building, I love growing the agency, and I love seeing the people in the agency self-actualize and become better versions of self. I love seeing the clients, hearing about clients' results is just amazing. Hearing about and seeing people in our agency grow is amazing. So how it shifted was just years of working pretty relentlessly and reading and trying to constantly figure out life. There's a lot of books on the shelf behind me. I don't think it's by any means a ton of books, but reading a lot and reinvesting into myself helped me transition from very ego materialistic desire to, you versus you, self-actualization, and people centricity. So yeah. All right, last two questions, and then I'm hopping off. What is the price of your upcoming course? It is going to be $9,800, I believe, or $9,600, one of those two. And we're going to keep it there for quite some time. I mean, it's really built for agency owners who want to scale up to over $100,000 per month with healthy margins and a great culture. So yes, it's expensive, but relative to what you're going to get, it's very cheap. So when do you begin to refine your children's marketing message? I've been doing outreach with using THM and I'm under KPI. Yeah, I mean, after sending at least 300 outreaches, I'd say send at least 300 videos, see what your call booking rate is. If it's less than 2%, you need to tweak something in the video. But it could also be the niche. Again, agency Enlightened is important because it comes with Q&A calls with myself and my partner, Destiny, and some of the stuff that we get to talk about more in depth on those Q&A calls one-on-one is stuff like that, where we can go in depth on your KPIs. And in a YouTube live like this, I mean, I would need to kind of see your KPIs and know your niche and see your message and then give you real feedback. So, all right, you guys, this is it. Cleared all the questions. This is an hour live stream. I can feel my throat is just like starting to lose power. So the vocal cords. Much love, you guys. I hope this was great. And yeah, I'll try to do this maybe once or twice a quarter. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Much love. Ciao.